Bruce Pearl is the new face of absolutely everything that is wrong with college basketball today. Here's a guy who was chased out as a college basketball coach not once but twice with regard to recruiting scandals, and he just can't keep his mouth shut, and the big reason is somebody gives him a platform to do it. Bruce Pearl is a disgraced head coach. Yes, I know. Keep coming back at me and telling me about all the numbers that he has, about the records, about the wonderful things he did at places like Tennessee and Auburn. Sure, you go right ahead and spit it all you want, but he cheated. He's a cheat. He broke the rules in order to do it. And instead of burying this guy, which basically is one of the things that should have happened in this college basketball March Madness of 2026, the TV networks give him a platform. They put him out there as the new face. Oh, he's going to be really good talking about college football, college basketball, because Bruce has been there. And he's a cheat. I don't know how many times I need to say this. Not once, but twice. I mean, this is a guy who basically was chased out of college basketball, and now he's the new mouthpiece. But of course, what does Bruce Pearl do? He is told to sit down in his chair and say something outrageous. Because we all know that's exactly what makes big time anymore when it comes down to not just television, but radio, podcasts, anything you see on your handheld, internet, it doesn't make a difference. Say something as outrageously stupid as you possibly can, and somebody's going to take notice of it. So Miami of Ohio goes undefeated in the college basketball season. Undefeated. Think about that for a moment. Playing a top-notch schedule for where they are and who they are. And here's Bruce Pearl coming out and saying, well, I don't think they deserve to be one of the 37 at-large bids in the college basketball March Madness. They don't deserve to be it. What the hell? Are you serious?
Miami, Ohio, here's the deal. Are we going to select the 68 most deserving teams, or are we going to select the 68 best teams? If we're selecting the 68 best teams, then Miami, Ohio is going to have to win their tournament to qualify as a champion. Because as an at-large, they are not one of the best teams in the country.
Bruce Pearl saying this, the guy who cheated? He's the one throwing shade on the Red Hawks right now. And of course it gets big attention. Look, we're talking about it here right now. It's all over the web. Every place you look right now, you can see about Bruce Pearl. And some people even saying that, well, maybe they need more security now when it comes down to the games themselves if Bruce Pearl is part of the broadcast team, because people want to come after this guy. It's a good point. Why in the name of sweet Naismith basketball would anybody want this clown, this grifter, this liar as somebody who sits there talking about college basketball? Isn't there anybody better you can get? I mean, CBS, anybody. Isn't there anybody else you can get who's actually a little more reputable? Hell, I'll tell you what, take Charles Barkley and have him talk college basketball. I'd rather have him sitting there than having this clown, than having Bruce Pearl there. But Pearl is endemic of just a few things that is wrong with college basketball. Look, okay, but let's kind of start here. There's a lot right with college basketball this time of year. Because let's face it, even if you're not a college basketball fan, you are captivated by March Madness. You have got people filling out brackets for the tournament who have no clue. They don't know where Miami of Ohio is located. They don't know where Gonzaga actually is. They have no idea the arena that anybody plays in, the state. They don't know. But it's all kind of cool and it's all kind of fun. Look, I'm going to throw this out here right now. I have not been part of an NCAA tournament bracket in maybe 20 plus years. I mean, the last time when I was at the network and we filled it out, and we weren't supposed to because it was gambling at the time and you weren't allowed to do it, but we did it and I won. I won the bracket. And look, I knew a little bit about college basketball, but I won the tournament bracket that year. I won a lot of money. And that comes down to the idiot, the moron, who basically ran the sports department at that time, who came to me and said he was an executive producer, but he was a clown. He was a guy that they basically hired for no other reason than they needed a rubber stamp body. He said, you know, you're a well-respected anchor here, and you lead our shows. Maybe you better not take the money. Maybe it'd be better if you turned it back and turned the money back in it, and maybe bought dinners for everybody with the money. I said, what are you, insane? Everybody else gambled the same way I did. Everybody bet. I'm keeping the money. And I did. and it was well over $1,000. But at the same time, I took my team in sports, and I went and I brought pizzas one night for everybody. I said, let's just have a little fun. So anyway, I've been part of it too. And to be honest, I'm not the authority on college basketball. I'm not. I mean, I leave this to a lot of the people who are out there right now who are. There are people out there who are wonderful when it comes to picking the brackets. But not only that, you can go to every single outfit, every single platform right now, and you can find tens, dozens, hundreds, thousands of people who say, I know, here's the way to win the bracket. Okay, good for them. Most of them are going to be wrong, but it's the entertainment value is all it is. So that's why I tell people every year, don't come to me and ask me, who do you like in the tournament? I'll come back with something real snarky and say, well, I like the team that's going to survive and win it all in the end. I have no clue. And I'm willing to admit that the college basketball is not the number one thing that I focus on from a player and a team standpoint. But from a standpoint of certain issues, I got to say that it grabs me. And one that I've talked about is how in the name of sweet basketballs that Bruce Pearl could be put up there as an expert when he's nothing more than a liar and a cheat, and has been, and is known for it as a matter of fact, and just saying outrageous crap that'll get a tremendous amount of attention, just like we're doing here. But there's something else that bothers me in all this. It comes down again to money. The amount of money being made at every college basketball tournament is astounding. I mean, we've all seen the numbers. Millions, tens, hundreds of millions of dollars that people are making off this. The TV network, the conferences, the coaches, everybody else. But I'm going to stick to the players here for a second because I've got a radical idea.
The NCAA has been giving men's teams part of the media revenue for the tourney since 1991. March Madness brings $1 billion, and according to MarketWatch, men's teams are expected to divvy up about $216 million of those dollars. The amount each conference or school gets depends on how many performance units they get, and units are based on how far you get in the tournament, along with other factors.
We are now in the era when players deserve to get paid. Look, they deserve to get paid 20 years ago, but now it's here, and players have to get paid because they're the ones who are helping to generate these millions and sometimes billions of dollars in revenue. So they got to get paid, every single one of them, and men's and women's, not just the guys, but the women as well. So I'm going to propose something here which will never happen, but should, because it's fair. NCAA, conferences, schools, networks, everybody, all making tremendous amounts of money. But for the money that is made as profit by the schools and the conferences, a percentage of that needs to be cut every single year. And that percentage, whatever it is, because that number grows exponentially every single year. We've seen revenues go up every year. But I want to see them create a percentage of the cash, of the profit, that goes right to the players and gets cut evenly. Okay? 64 teams, 68 teams, whatever it is. And you're going to cut it between men's basketball and women's basketball, all right? But let's just take men's basketball. The active players who are on the roster at the beginning of the tournament, they get a cut. A percentage. Why not? I mean, isn't that the way things are in mostly every other sport? Don't you have salary minimums that are out there, percentages that are out there the players make? They need to make this. So let's just say for giggles and grins, the final profit margin coming in from sponsors, from revenue, from pay-per-views, from everything else that everybody makes, how about 10%? I think it's a great place to start. 10% of the profit then gets immediately distributed to the players equally. And it's not just if you're a star player. If you're on the roster, if you're getting paid, you get the same amount. Now, there's a lot of people who are going to hammer away at this and say you can't do it. Yes, you can. You can do anything right now. All it takes is bookkeeping and a way to go ahead and figure out where the money is going, and the schools all seem to be real good at that. Hey, look, last time I checked, the coaches get bonuses every time they win. Schools get extra money under and over the table all the time, but let's take the legitimate money and let's spread it out. And I'm going to say the same thing for the women's tournament, because the women's tournament is gaining in popularity as well, and there's more money being spent and more money being paid. Every single player deserves to make something extra because it's their efforts, their talents, their name, their image, their likeness, who is being used to sell this tournament. They're the ones. All you have to do is watch television, see the promos, and you can say this player for this school and that player for that school. And they're the ones that we're going to come out and watch.
By Mara, and he will flush it down.
It's the most wonderful time of the year for college hoops fans.
Buries the three. Got it.
March Madness, where dreams come true or get shattered.
Boozer beats everybody to it.
Duke earning the top overall seed in the men's tournament. Freshman Cameron Boozer now hoping to lead the Blue Devils to their first national title in 11 years.
They're using them. And that's been the biggest argument for a long time, that they continue to use them and don't pay them. Now, there are people who are going to snap back and say, well, hang on a second, Berliner, because there are people making, and on both sides, men and women, are making NIL money and they're making sponsor money. Right, okay. I don't care. Not everybody makes it. The big guns make it. That's why I want to see every player on every single active roster at the beginning of the college basketball tournament gets paid a percentage of the earnings. And I really want somebody to tell me what's wrong with that, okay? Because the schools are all going to make millions, billions, trillions, who knows? They won't make a tremendous amount of money, and don't tell me they don't. It's another one of those handy-dandy bookkeeping things, all right? They're all making a profit. So the players need to make that profit. And I'm going to stand on this nonsense, this bullshit about saving college sports and all of this crap we're hearing at a political level right now. This is all just a way to pander to the people who want to go ahead and make sure that the athletes don't get paid. The athletes get paid a percentage. 10%? 20%? I'm not sure what that is. Maybe we're going to reach a point eventually where, because it's the athletes, maybe it'll be 50% one day. Because it still comes down to the argument. Without the players, what do you got? They're the marquee. It's not the teams. Look, you can go ahead and you can root for your school colors all you want, but at the end of the day, it is still the player that makes you a champion or gives you all of that excitement. So pay them, damn it, and pay them a percentage, a fair percentage every single year. And I challenge anybody, to tell me what's wrong with that thinking process. Anything. If you want, you go right ahead. I'll address it. I've addressed it before when people come at me. Drop the comment in the YouTube section, and we'll get down to it. One last thing. I remember at a time when the NIT used to be a big deal. The National Invitation Tournament, it's not a big deal anymore. I mean, it was big. If you didn't make the tournament, and that's when the tournament wasn't 64 teams, you got to play in the NIT. It was the secondary. And you could be NIT champion. And I guarantee you right now that there are people, I'll start this. Tell me who won the NIT 10 years ago. Most of you can't do it. Tell me who won the NCAA championship 10 years ago. Most of you can if you're a college basketball fan. Because the NIT doesn't count for anything anymore. There's a part of me that wants to say, cut the NIT entirely. Get rid of it. And don't look to remake it. Don't create something else. Don't say, well, we're going to get rid of the NIT, but we'll create something else. No, stop with the alternatives. If you didn't make the playoffs, you didn't make the playoffs. End of story. And look, it's a terrible thing to say to some people. Well, the kids need a chance to play. They're not kids. They're young men, they're young women, and they're paid, and they should be paid. So they're in essence secondary professional athletes to begin with. But we've got to get rid of all this nonsense out here. But then again, there's a side of me that comes in here that wants to still kind of hold a little nostalgia and want to say, it's not a bad idea. If you don't make the tournament, you get to play in another tournament, but, which is a really nice way to think. But it really doesn't get you anywhere because players don't care. If you ask a player, if you ask 100 college basketball players, men and women, if you had a chance to play in a second tournament, you don't make the tournament. You don't make the NCAA tournament. So you got a chance to play in a secondary tournament, which means you can still become champion of something. You ask 100 players, and I guarantee you, 95 of them, 95% of them, maybe 100% will say, I really don't care. I don't want to go out and take a chance on getting injured. I'm not covered insurance-wise for the rest of my life. If I suffer a debilitating injury, I still want to go ahead and maybe play in the NBA or international basketball. I take a chance and get hurt. And what the hell am I doing out there?
We have players who don't want to play in bowl games. This is almost that version of it that, hey, we don't want to play in this game. It's not important enough. But I always thought if I'm a coach and I can get playing time for some of my kids who are going to be playing for me next year, then why not take advantage of that? And you're going to have, this is the feeling I got, that some of these coaches may be covered for their players because the players didn't want to play.
The level of greed that has permeated this sport is right there in college, and there's a part of me that thinks it should be. Why should they have to play for almost nothing? What are you going to do? Give them a percentage of the NIT tournament dollars? 10% of nothing is still nothing. So I keep going back and forth on this as to whether or not I want there to be an NIT or some kind of a tournament or not. I still pull in the side that no, you didn't make it. Sorry, that's the way things are. So I would love people to tell me, to give me the honest reason why. Why we should have a tournament like it, why we shouldn't have a tournament like it. I still think at the end of the day, there's going to be more people saying, get rid of it, it's nonsense. Because look, even if you're I'm just going to throw a team out there, this is not throwing shade on anybody, but let's say Hofstra gets a chance to play in the NIT tournament. Even if you're a Hofstra alum, even if you give a lot of money to the school, sure, you might go to a game every now and then, but at the end of the day, you're going to go and, hey, Hofstra was the NIT champion. You'll forget it just like everybody else because it doesn't mean anything. We live, eat, sleep, and breathe on these big-time events anymore, and the NIT's not it. So let's change college basketball for the better, okay? One, let's get rid of the clown shows like Bruce Pearl, the liar, the con artist, the cheat that he is. Two, let's make sure we pay these players a percentage of all the money that's made, the profits that are made from these tournaments. And not only, hey, look, I'll make you another one. Not just the conference tournaments as well, because you make a tremendous amount of money on that, and it's something special. So the players get paid a percentage of the profit, men and women, on the tournaments. Why not? And let's get rid of the nonsense tournaments, okay? They don't mean anything. Nobody cares. The players don't care. The fans don't care. The alums don't care. The TV networks certainly don't care. And the sponsors aren't going to spend the money. So let's pay attention to where we are. The big tournament, the entertainment value, and I am not filling out a bracket this year. Although if I do, careful, I'm 1 for 1.